Hello everyone. Uh, so we'll discuss the lectures 4, 6 and 7 today. If you have any questions in those lectures, you can ask. You can write in the chat window and then we can answer those questions. You can write how many lectures have you gone through out of 4, 6 and 7. All of you please write so that I get some idea before discussing. Okay, some of you have gone through all of them. Some of you have gone through 4 and 6 only. It's okay. For today, we can discuss statics. So in lecture 4, we discussed fluid properties. So we started with stress and the conventions that we use for stress. Was this part clear? So we discussed a little bit in the last live interaction also about stress. Here we took an example of a flow between two plates. This is also known as Couette flow. So this parallel plate flow, where a fluid is filled in between two plates and the top plate is moving relative to the bottom plate, or the bottom plate is moving relative to the top plate with gravity or without gravity. Generally, the simplest case is without gravity, and these are infinitely long plates so that there are no edge effects, and at each cross section, any cross section that you take, you will see the same kind of flow everywhere. So this is a steady and for infinitely long plates, which is also known as fully developed flow. In the x direction, if this is the x direction, the flow is not developing anymore, or it is not changing, as opposed to, let's say, you have a channel which starts from this position. Okay, let's say this is the starting of a pipe or a channel, and if there is a flow at the inlet, at this cross section, if you plot velocity vectors, they will look like this. But at some other cross section, let's say here, because there is no slip boundary condition that we discussed at the walls, at the solid walls, the fluid achieves the same velocity as the solid. So if the top wall is moving, then this will have a velocity equal to the solid wall, to that of the solid wall. And at the bottom wall, because it is fixed, the velocity is zero. So it may become something like this. And it will slowly transition to a linear velocity profile. And at this point, it may be like that. Okay. So slowly the flow is developing in this case. But here we are assuming that it is fully developed. So whatever cross section we are taking, every cross section has the same velocity profile. So these are the assumptions: fully developed flow, steady flow, laminar flow. In that case, this is known as a Couette flow. This geometry in which this flow is happening, this is known as Couette flow. And we asked, what is the stress on the fluid surfaces? So if we talk just about the fluid inside, we remove the plates from here. So we are talking about this fluid. This is the, and this is the top plate is being pulled. So the top plate is applying some force on the top layer. And in which direction is that force acting? It is in the positive x direction on the top plate. And in turn, the top layer is applying some force on the top plate, as well as the top layer is applying some force on the bottom layer. Okay, so let us draw two layers somewhere. Let's say this is of this fluid somewhere here. Okay, we have just zoomed into this, and let's say the adjacent layer, we separate it out and we draw it here. This is the adjacent layer of the same fluid. Now the top layer, on the top layer, this force is acting. Okay, that force is being applied by the wall on the top layer or the layer above it. It depends on where this layer is. Now because the bottom plate is fixed, so that is also applying some force on the layer attached to it depending on the velocity of the plate of the layer above it. So we know the velocity profile here. We know the top plate is moving ahead. If you see this picture here, and the bottom layer is slowly here. So the bottom layer is applying a force x direction. Okay, at the bottom face of this layer, and in turn this layer is applying a force in the forward direction on the layer attached to it, and so on. Okay, and because the velocity is fixed, there is no acceleration in any fluid element, so all the forces are balanced here. Any layer that you choose, the force here, what is the component of force? You can write in the chat window. Tau and what? What is the first subscript and what is the second subscript? You can write it there. Okay. Yeah. So now you have written. Okay. So this is the top face, and the normal vector to that face is y, in y direction. So the first subscript will be y, and the force is acting in the x direction. So the second subscript is x. So this is tau yx. And according to our sign convention, if we consider a negative face, this is the negative face. Negative face we are calling it because the normal points in the negative y direction. So we said that here the positive direction uh, for the stress component is when the stress direction or the force direction is negative. That is what we have drawn here. So this is also tau yx. Okay. So all the stress components here are shear stress components, tau yx. There are no normal components here. Okay. And you can see that this equal and opposite force is acting here as well. So this is also tau yx. And this is also tau yx, because this whole thing is in equilibrium. So the forces acting are same. You can see that the entire fluid will have the same stress tau yx. So at every point in the fluid, the stress is same in this case for this kind of flow. And you can derive that from the formula also. The formula for stress was mu times du by dy. This also we discussed. And what is velocity? Velocity is a linear function of y. So it will be something like b. Now you can put the boundary condition here and find a and b. Boundary conditions are u equal to 0 at y and u naught or some height h. So from that you will get these constants a and b. Now we don't want to calculate that right now. We just want to find out du by dy is a constant, which is a in this case. Get a constant shear stress mu a. So from these free body diagrams and this formula, you can see that the stress is constant here in this flow at every point in the fluid. Okay, is that clear? Now, if there is any question, you can ask.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, I'm confused that why don't we distinguish between the positive stress tense, like positive stress we write tau yx and the negative stress that is also tau yx. So why don't we differentiate among the two?
Okay. So let me go back to the sign convention that we are using. Let's say there is a point. Let's say, okay, there is a fluid blob or solid blob, solid object, any substance, and let's say at a point out what is the stress. Now we know that to define a stress, we need two things. One is the force that is acting, and the other is the surface area that we are considering, because stress is force per unit area. So what we can do is we can slice this body or imagine a slice passing through this body like this. Okay, let me draw some also xyz, and let's say this is in the xy plane. This is the xy plane that I have drawn here, or you can consider an xz plane to find out the stress. So first let us take the xy plane. Like that. So I've sliced it in the xy direction, and this is my point where I wanted to find the stress. Okay, I hope you can imagine this. We have cut it horizontally. So this is our surface area now, and there are some forces acting on this body. Let's say all of these forces acting on this body, F1, F2, F3, and so on. So if I drew this free body diagram here, okay, these are the forces, these two forces that I have drawn here again. To balance these forces on this free body, on this surface, there have to be some forces acting on that surface to balance these two other forces. Okay. Now we can, let's say that these acting here, one normal to the body, normal to the surface at that point, and two forces tangential. So these tangential forces will result in the shear stresses on this surface, and this normal force will result in the normal stress. Similarly, so let us name them also here for now. Uh, this one, the normal force, that will result in tau zz, that is pointing in the z direction, and the surface has the normal in the z direction. So all of them will have first subscript z. This is tau zx, this is tau zy. There is no problem with this because the surface area that we took was in the positive z direction. The normal was in the positive z. So there is no problem here. Similarly, if we took this red one, this section, in the xz plane. Then we can draw this body again. Like this, let's say. This is the free body that I have drawn. And this is the point. This is the same point in all three figures. P, P, and P. We are just taking different sections. You can take infinitely many sections and define stress at all those sections. So now on this plane, you can draw the stress components again in this direction and in these two other directions. And the names here will be tau yy, tau yz, and tau yx. And similarly, you can do for the third direction also, third plane. Now let us take the negative planes. To separate out this free body that we drew here, there was a counterpart of this body which we left out. Let us draw that. Okay. This is point P there. And here now, we don't need to define additional stresses. We don't need to give additional names here. Why don't we need that? Because on the same surface, we are drawing the and because the body is in equilibrium, we can just say that there is this that is same as tau zy. There is this normal force which is same as tau zz, and this other force that is same as tau zx. We don't need to say that this is some other tau zz and this is some other tau zy and so on. From the equilibrium of forces, we know that on the same surface, we have already defined these forces, tau zz, zy, and zx. So these stress components have to be the same, these ones. So what we say is, if we consider a negative plane, the normal is negative in the negative direction, then if you draw the stress components in the opposite directions, that is in the negative directions, because here this is the positive x direction and we have drawn it like this, x direction. So if you draw the stress components in the negative directions, then they are same as the positive direct component positive plane. So this is the sign convention that we talked about. Is that clear? Is there any question on this?
Sir, so this is because the body is in equilibrium. If the body isn't in equilibrium, we need some other components for the negative direction.
Yes. So we because here the force is on the same surface. We are talking about the same surface. These two are the same surfaces exactly. So here tau zy, zz, zx is on the same surface as this one. We are not talking about a different surface here. Just the direction is opposite. Is that okay?
But sir, if the body is not in equilibrium, then
Yes.
then we can't define this. Then we need some other component.
Okay, even if the body is not in equilibrium, the forces are defined on the same plane. So these forces are going to be the same. We are not talking about a surface shifted away from this surface. Let's call it surface 1. Let's call it surface 2. Both are the same surfaces. There is no difference between the two surfaces except the orientation.
Okay, sir.
Is there any other question? Okay, now let me discuss one more thing here. Okay, so the picture that I showed you last time, I showed a cube or a square in 2 dimensions and showed like this. And so, and I said that this is an infinitesimally small element. Actually, about a single point. So what I have shown in these pictures here. So here I am talking about a single point. In this figure, it may look like that these surfaces are from each other. And if the element is not in equilibrium, then there may be a different force acting here and here. But actually, I am talking about a single point here, point P. Shrink this point P in the limit that this distance goes to 0. I am talking about that situation here. When I draw the stresses x, this is only possible when delta x tends to 0. Then even if the element is not in equilibrium, this tau xx will be same as this tau xx for a point P. So you can also point P here, and these are this is one plane, this is another plane, passing through the same point, and we are talking about stresses here. So on the same plane P1, this is tau xx, and in that direction also tau xx if the other orientation of the plane. So we are talking about this situation, but we represent it like this here to show. Okay, if there is any question you can ask, otherwise we'll go to the next topic. To how many people is this clear? So in this book, Fox book, I'm not sure if this is described in detail, but I can give you some links where you can read more about it. Okay. So now, yeah. Now let me discuss the relationship between tau yx and tau xy. How are they related? Because we just said that the shear stress is equal to viscosity times strain rate, but we did not say which one, tau yx or tau xy. What if it is tau xy? Let us take a square element in a 2D flow. We can generalize it to 3D also. For now, let us take a 2D element. Generally, we show a single-sided arrow for shear stresses. Okay, let us consider the positive side. On the negative side, we shear stress like this. Why did we show it like this? So that it is balanced with the other shear stress, right? But why can't it be, let's say, sorry. Okay. What if I drew shear stresses like this? What is the problem with this diagram? Let's say my sign convention was like this. Can it happen at a single point? So I'm talking about a single point here. I'm just showing it like a square element. I'm assuming that this is infinitesimally small element. What is the problem with this diagram? Can you write here? Okay, this causes the body to rotate. So why can't it rotate? Is there any problem with it? You can speak if you like. Okay, if it is in equilibrium, it cannot happen. Let's say it is a non-equilibrium situation. In that condition, in that situation, can it happen? For non-equilibrium flows, let's say. Okay, you all have seen flows like what is known as a sink flow. So if you have water going down a sink hole, then it rotates, okay, and ultimately down the sink. There the fluid elements are rotating, but I'm not saying infinitesimally small fluid elements are rotating there, but still you see some rotation. In is it possible to have a stress like this? Can you write yes or no? Okay. So I'll show that even in that case, it cannot happen. A fluid element has to remain always in equilibrium. Because we are talking about a single point here, we are not talking about a big element here. it is infinitesimally small element. That means in the limit that it is approaching a point. So we are talking about a mathematical point. For that case, it cannot happen. So what you can do is you can write the angular momentum equation, that is torque equal to I alpha and see what happens to this equation. If you take this point, the central point, as your axis about which you will write the torque, and I, moment of inertia, and assume that this is x, and for simplicity then you can write the torques due, let's say this is also a stress because they are passing through this axis. There will be torques only because of the shear stresses. So let the shear stresses be in any direction for now. This is tau, this is tau yx. This is y. Okay. Can you write it and see what you get? Okay. Let us make this an assignment. This will be assignment 1. Finally, after deriving this, what you have to do is take delta x approaching 0 and then give me the final result. Okay, for a 2D element you can do this. You can also do this for a 3D element. So yeah, you can do it for 3D. That will be the assignment. All right. Now let us talk about fluid dynamics a little bit because we have already started fluid dynamics. In a few classes, we will derive the equations for fluid mechanics, the momentum equation, the continuity equation, which are also known as Navier-Stokes equations. What you get finally is 4 equations for the simplest case in 3 dimensions. The first equation is continuity equation. Let me just write it for now. You don't need to remember it or anything. This is the continuity equation, del dot u equal to 0. This is a single equation. Then there are 3 equations in 3 dimensions or 2 equations in 2 dimensions for momentum in each direction. So similar to this equation, but in the expanded form. And this equation comes from force equal to mass times acceleration, where we divide by volume of the element on both the sides. So this is force per unit volume and this is mass per unit volume. So these are three equations. Equation 1, 2, and 3, momentum equations. So in total, you have 4 equations. In these 4 equations, the variables are velocity, which has 3 components. Let us call them u, v, and w in x, y, and z directions. Then you have pressure, which appears in these 3 equations. And then you have all these stress components, the stress tensor, which has 9 components. Okay, 1, 2, 3, or x, y, z, you can call them anything, direction indices. So total, how many unknowns do you have? 9 plus 1, 10, plus 3, 13. 13. And equations are 4. And then you have Newton's law of viscosity, which gives a relationship between stress and velocity components. So we wrote tau equal to, just like this formula, tau yx equal to mu du by dy. You have the general formula, the stress tensor is equal to mu del u plus del u transpose. And this is valid only for Newtonian fluids. So this is only an experimental result. This cannot be derived mathematically. So this is known as a constitutive law or constitutive relationship between stress and velocity components. So now after writing all these tau in terms of velocities, we have only 4 unknowns. Solve these equations. So this is a big step to write for all. For Newtonian fluids, it is okay. For non-Newtonian fluids, you have to write this constitutive law either by doing some experiments or writing some theory, yeah, or some simple models, which may not be always possible for all the fluids. So this is the essence, and then you can solve these equations. So later on we'll see how to solve these equations for simple flows. Okay, is there any question up to this point? Okay, fine. So we'll end here, and I'll send more lectures in this week. Okay, thank you.